Hey y'all, today we are going over our top 3 places to move to in Mexico: Puebla, Querétaro, and Oaxaca City.
Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into all these places based on the criteria we came up for ourselves.
I want to go to Mexico!
Hi, guys. I'm Javi,
I am Jessica.
and we are here to talk about what cities we think we're going to move to.
In Mexico.
That's right, in Mexico. So far, we've narrowed it down to 3 cities that we are interested in. So we have Puebla, Oaxaca City, and Querétaro City. And so we wanted to just have this conversation between each other. We've had some time to research these places, and we've consumed a lot of YouTube videos.
And looked up a lot of stuff just in general on the internet, everywhere. I feel like we've been researching where we want to live in Mexico for a few months now.
Yep.
Pretty nonstop.
I know, and it's kind of changed, right, over time.
Okay.
Sorta.
It's changed,
Ish.
but I feel like we've gone back to the beginning of how
Full
the whole
circle.
thing started.
Yeah.
Well, so initially when we wanted to move to Mexico, how did this whole thing even start? Because
This whole thing started because we visited Mexico. We went to Playa del Carmen in November for my birthday. And it was your first time going to Mexico. I'm from Mexico, but I had never been to Playa del Carmen. But you had the opportunity to visit Mexico and see what life is like in Mexico. And I think you were taken back by it.
Yeah, which it's also going to be different because we're on vacation, and
Right.
so living is going to not be the same. But I do feel like we had a little bit of a taste of what living in Mexico is like because we were in a residential neighborhood.
Right. The spot we stayed at wasn't super touristy. We were a little bit away from the downtown Playa del Carmen. So we got a little bit of that real life Mexican living.
Yeah. And I feel like we didn't even really understand where the Airbnb was because we thought it was going to be really close, but it ended up being like a 30-ish minute walk to Centro. But honestly, I'm really glad we were there because Centro in Playa del Carmen for me was not it.
Yeah, I mean, it was just hectic and very touristy, right? So it was nice to be, I wouldn't say we were on the edge, but we were definitely a bit away from downtown. But we still were able to walk there within 30 minutes or so. So it wasn't bad. But we had the opportunity to have that experience. And then we came back to the States. And given the circumstances, I think of who came into presidency and just the overall feel of the United States, we've been kind of just thinking about what can we do, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I went to Mexico for the first time and it was definitely a whole experience. I really liked it. It was just a different vibe, different people. People seemed happier. It was just it was a whole vibe, right? It was just a different way of life. And I was there and I felt like I wanted more of that.
Yeah, you could definitely feel the slower pace of life. And yes, we were there for vacation. But generally, I think it's not as fast paced as it is in the US.
Yeah. And I mean, really, we don't work normal jobs. We don't work 9 to 5 jobs. We're not coming home and doing all this stuff. And so I feel like for us, vacation is just kind of how we would be experiencing living life there in a way. The only thing that would be different if we were to go to Playa del Carmen and live there, the only difference between what we experience on vacation and what we would experience if we were living there is that I would be working a couple days a week from home. So it wouldn't really be that much different, right?
Yeah, no, given our lifestyle, since we're both freelancers and creatives, we make our schedules as we go,
Mhm.
or it's like on a project basis. Um, so we don't have that structured 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I think that, um, yeah, ultimately, like you've said this in the past, you want to be just kind of like on vacation mode all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to live my life like that anyway. I try to live my life like I'm on vacation mode. Like I do not believe in working harder or even working smarter. I just don't really believe in working at all, but I have to work for to make money, but I want to be able to do that less.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we can say like be on vacation mode, but really it just comes down to like having the freedom, right?
Mhm.
The freedom and ability to really structure the life how you want it and
Mhm.
make of it what you want. And I think here in the US, or at least speaking specifically to like Austin, um, it seems much harder because of the cost of living,
Yeah.
right? And um, I don't know why, but I recently started thinking more about like retiring. It must be because we've seen
Same.
all these videos of like retire in Mexico. But for a while, I've been thinking about like, man, like my parents are getting close to retirement age, right? But they have their house here in Austin and they've like built houses in Mexico. So they plan to like travel back and forth, right? But given that I'm still in my 30s and by the time I retire, I just don't know. The US is already like unaffordable
Yeah,
for
I
a lot
mean,
of people.
we've already talked to, and we just have so many places we want to travel that I feel like we're gonna find somewhere that's not here to retire, even if it doesn't end up being Mexico. Like, it's not gonna be here. So when we were in Mexico, we stayed in Playa del Carmen, but then we went to Chichen Itza. We went to Valladolid.
Mhm.
Is that how you say it?
Something like that.
Okay. So, but when we were
Yeah.
there, I remember getting off the bus or even being on the bus and driving through that little town and being like, "Oh my God, this is where I want to be on vacation. I wish we came here because I like Playa del Carmen, but it was just it was a different vibe. It was more laid back. It was super colorful. And I was like, "Oh, this is Mexico I want to experience." And I think that's when we started to look up other places in Mexico. And that's when we learned about Oaxaca, because that was the first place that we were both like, this is where I really want to go.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Oaxaca was the initial thought because I've always heard it I've known of it for its art.
Mhm.
And so that's what initially drew me into it. And also, there's a beach near it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always been interested in Oaxaca for just cultural reasons. Like I've never been there, but I've researched different parts of Mexico throughout my life for different reasons, and Oaxaca's always piqued my interest. And so we came home and we started to look up, videos about Oaxaca, and that it really became interesting. And we were like, ooh,
Yeah, and that turned out to be our launch point. And from that place, we started looking at other cities too,
mhm.
which helped us land on our top three, which include Oaxaca, but it's Puebla and Querétaro as well.
What are our requirements for a place to live? We want something that is affordable.
Right.
That's like the big one. We're moving to Mexico so we can live a different and slower way of life. We just don't want to be paying what we're paying now. And we're interested in actually living the Mexican lifestyle and not like the expat gringo lifestyle. Yeah. So,
Another one of our criterias is temperature. We live where it's blazing hot.
yeah, it's so hot. It's already been in the triple digits here. It's super humid. And while that's okay in small doses, it's just not something that we're looking at regularly and for like 6 months a year.
Yeah, no. It's just too hot.
Yeah. So more temperate climate is definitely important to us. We also want something that is easy to, we are not bringing a car. I'm selling my car. We want to be able to walk, take public transportation, and just get around without a vehicle.
Yeah, so the place has to be very walkable.
Yeah. And then what else? I feel like we don't have a lot of requirements.
Yeah, I think for the most part we're pretty open.
Mhm.
And again, it's one of those things where we're not really gonna know until we get there. But we did know that we want somewhere where it's like pretty walkable and accessible. It's not too hot, it's not too cold.
Oh, we
Oh,
don't want to live where all the expats are. Like, I want to be immersed in culture. I want to learn Spanish. I don't want people to just speak English to me because I'm white. So I want to be around Mexicans. Like, I want to live where there's more culture. Like, I don't want to live in like little Unidos.
okay. No, we did have another one, or at least I did. Art.
Oh, yeah, art. I mean, we are both creative people. And so just being able to have some kind of art community that we can get involved in. And also, I feel like for both of us, being in Mexico is going to be an opportunity to like reignite our creativity because I think we're both kind of in like a weird stuck moment right now. And so I feel like just being around all that art and all that culture is just going to do good things for us. So I do, yeah, like the art scene is definitely important. And younger people. Like I don't want to live where the average age is like retirement age. We're pretty open. We're pretty open-minded. I feel like I personally could probably even live in a van. And so like the amount of space, like a 2-bedroom would be nice, but it's not a requirement. I feel like we can make anything work. So pretty loose requirements. Let's get into the places that we are interested in living. The first place we're going to talk about is Puebla, which I think is number 2 on our list. I think it's your number 2.
I would say Puebla is my number 2.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not sure if it's my number 2 or my number 3. I feel like Puebla and Querétaro are tied. Almost. I feel like Querétaro might be number 2.
I don't know, but what do we like about Puebla?
So I have some stuff written down. We like that it's centrally located. The fact that it's like 2 to 3 hours from Mexico City is definitely enticing.
That's a plus,
Yeah.
because we haven't been to Mexico City, and then somewhere we also want to explore. So that would be ideal.
Yeah, and I feel like just having a base in Puebla, it's easy to get to all other places in Mexico, including our number 1 place, right? Like Querétaro is a little bit further from the other side of Mexico.
Yeah, it's what's north of Mexico City.
Yeah. So it's like that's just a little bit further. So Puebla is like the most central of all the places that we're interested in. And so that definitely puts it a little bit higher up on our list. And then other than that, there's a comfortable climate. I think a lot of places in Puebla don't have heat or air conditioning just because the altitude, it makes it a lot cooler, not too hot, not too cold, but also cool at night, which is really nice.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, just being able to open the windows and that also means that bills would be a little bit cheaper. Mm-hmm. So it definitely has a lot of positives in that. And then the cost of living. I look up apartments all the time on Facebook Marketplace, and that's not going to be a lot of the inventory that's in Mexico, but what I have been finding there's places between like $300 and $700 per month, which fits in our budget.
And that's just on Facebook too.
Yeah, that's just on Facebook. Like I feel like we're gonna end up finding a place that is se renta.
Yeah, we're excited to go look for the signs.
Yeah. And knock on the door. But other than that, the art community. There is a big art community. There's a lot of artists that are on the streets painting paintings. There's just a lot of different artisans and a big art culture, which is important to us.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen, there's whole alleys of just like different artists doing their thing, and also just like the city itself too, the architecture, right?
Yeah.
You have the French, and then you have the Spanish, and there's just so many different colors.
Yeah, all the tiles that are everywhere are really pretty. I have a special interest in tiles for sure.
Yeah,
I like tiles.
And then, I know, right? They're so cute, so pretty. And it's also like, I think, given its location, it's also like a major city. But it's also very big.
Yeah.
Right? Which excited me at first.
And for me is a downside because I like a city. I feel like Austin is a good size city for me. I feel like bigger than Austin, it's a lot.
I mean, it's definitely a downside because think about it, like we're going to be newbies in a massive place.
Yeah, and I feel like that's also like super overwhelming because not only do I have to adjust to like a completely different culture that I'm not used to, I feel like it's a lot easier to navigate that when it is smaller.
Yeah, because looking back at like our visit to Playa del Carmen, I don't know exactly how many people live there, but after a few days, it was pretty easy to like get around.
Now I'm curious. Let me look up Playa del Carmen. How many people live there? So Playa del Carmen is about 300,000.
Okay.
And to me, like
All right.
that was a really good size city. It wasn't too big. It was big enough that, you know, we had to walk 30 minutes to Centro, and there was so much of it that we still didn't see.
Right. We only saw a fraction of it.
Yeah. And so I feel like, think about that times 10. That's Puebla.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it feels like a lot to land at first.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like the downside to it now.
There is one other downside, which is...
Is it that hard word?
Yeah.
I also have to read it. Popocatépetl.
Okay, so that volcano, the active volcano just being so close, and this was also something that gave me pause about Mexico City, but this volcano, there's a lot of activity and it has small eruptions all the time, and if it were to actually erupt, it's gonna like knock out power. It's gonna like cause a lot of problems. It's going to pollute the water. It's just gonna be a lot of problems, right? Like I feel like if it were to erupt, we would have to like relocate again, basically.
Yeah, and we're learning so much in this process, y'all. Like we've never had to consider a volcano.
I've never lived near a
or
volcano.
or earthquakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to go see it, but I don't know about living within close proximity to it.
Yeah. I mean, that freaks me out. Like earthquakes also freak me out, but I feel less freaked out about earthquakes than like lava erupting out of a hole and like flowing.
Just sizzling.
You will die if you touch it.
So yeah, no volcanoes for us.
Yeah, so really those are the only downsides is the size. I think it might be a little bit too big, and the volcano is concerning. Next on the list is Querétaro. What do we like about it?
We like its climate.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty similar to the climate in Puebla because all of these places are around Mexico City. So it's a higher altitude, which means it's cooler and a little bit drier. It's not that humid.
You were talking about how they don't even have ACs in the apartments?
Yeah, a lot of places don't have AC or heat just because it's such a temperate climate that you just don't need them as much. So that also would lower bills. Utility costs would be cheaper. Um, Cost of living is right up our alley. I've seen people who live there in 2-bedroom furnished apartments for around $600 USD. So it's affordable.
And it also has a lot of art.
Yeah, there's a lot of museums. There's a lot of history and culture.
Oh yeah, they have the aqueducts, right?
Yeah, those are really cool. I
definitely
want
want
to
to see
those.
those. Oh my god.
Jinx.
Add it to my tab.
Okay. I think we owe each other equal number of Cokes at this
That's
point.
a lot.
We'll get each other Mexican Coke.
Oh man.
But it really fits the bill of like most of the things that we want, including demographics too. I think there are a lot of younger people in Querétaro.
Yeah, and the population size is like 800,000, so it's
Yeah.
under a million.
Under a million, which is like roughly the same size as Austin, which I feel like for me is like a good sized city. Bigger than that feels a little bit too overwhelming, and that feels like the perfect size to be in like a metropolitan area.
Yeah, I know the size is definitely seems very manageable.
Yeah.
Especially like starting out.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, Querétaro is a higher on the list than Puebla, and it's probably mostly due to the size.
Yeah, the size is definitely it's not as scary, honestly.
Yeah. And like, who knows? Maybe we'll go to Puebla and
Be like, we love it.
yeah, and the size doesn't matter. But not being there and thinking about it, it just feels like Querétaro is a little bit more manageable. Now, with that being said, some of our downsides are it is a sprawling city, right? And so there are a lot of neighborhoods that seem to be more car dependent. And
We won't have a car.
yeah, we won't have a car. I mean, we've heard a lot of people say that you need a car. So whether it's taking a taxi or owning a car, it feels like it would just be easier to be able to be in Querétaro with a vehicle. And I have heard that the public transportation there is really not that great. And so if we were going to be there, we would have to really be in like a centro or centro adjacent area where we can like walk around. So that would make it a little bit more limited as to where we could live.
Yeah, because we don't want to go to live in suburbia.
The other plus side is that there is like really good and stable internet in Querétaro, and being that we work online, we, upload a lot of videos and do a lot of stuff on the internet. I feel like knowing that we would be able to have better internet is definitely a positive. So it's kind of a toss-up between Querétaro and Puebla, really.
Yeah, I think another plus that we had for Querétaro was that there seems to be a lot going on in terms of like international business. So we do like that aspect of it.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people who have moved from the United States to Mexico, a lot of people do live in Querétaro. I feel like it's been the easiest to find videos of people living there. I feel like a lot of people end up there. And so it's almost like kind of a built-in community. I feel like a lot of expats kind of like get to know each other. And so just knowing that we would have a larger community to kind of lean on and meet and become friends with is definitely a positive in my book. Like, I want culture. I want to be surrounded by Mexican people, but also it kind of helps to bridge the gap between like, I've only ever lived in the United States, and so this is going to be a big change for me, right? And so just knowing other people that are like-minded and younger, like younger expats that are not retired, that's definitely nice.
Yeah, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, Querétaro is number 2. And for you, it's like number 3.
I think for me, Querétaro is number 3 for sure.
That brings us to our number 1. We both have the same number 1. It's
I'm super excited. It's Oaxaca City,
Yeah, like we're coming full circle. This is where we started.
where we
This
started.
we've kind of gone through this whole thing where we started with Oaxaca City and then we went down this whole rabbit hole of all of these other places in Mexico.
Mhm.
And then we just came back to Oaxaca City.
Yeah, no, it's like you said earlier, it just seems like a magical place.
Yeah, it really seems like the best place to really be immersed in culture. Like there's so many indigenous people, there's so much culture, there's so much art. It's so colorful. The hills, like it just seems like a totally different place than everywhere else we've looked at.
Yeah, it's just culturally rich. Also, its location, at least for me, it's really nice because it's close to the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, we initially had talked about that because there's several places that we want to be able to go, like surrounding Oaxaca. So when you're Oaxaca City, as you go south, there's the magic mushroom capital. What is it called? Look it up.
San Jose del Pacifico?
Yeah, I really want to go there. It's just that just seems like a magical little mountain town. Like I don't know, all of the nature, all of the mountain towns around there are just really appeal to me.
The weather in Oaxaca City is also pretty good.
Yeah, it's a little bit hotter than the other places that we're looking at, but
Well, I found that their hot season, which is about almost 2 months, the highest it gets is 85 degrees.
okay. I feel like that's wrong because I feel like I've looked at the weather recently and it's been like 90. But even so, even if it's 90, it's been like triple digits here.
But it also drops at night, though.
Yeah, it does drop at night and it doesn't do that here. And so I feel like I can deal with like 90 in the 90s as long as there's like a fluctuation in temperature. Like I don't think Oaxaca's too hot, but it's definitely hotter than Puebla and Querétaro.
Yeah, but it's only for like a few months, though. Only like 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not like, for me, that's not like a downside, but it is hotter.
Yeah. And for the rest of the year, it seems pretty nice, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like initially what kind of drew us away from Oaxaca City was the fact that it wasn't centrally located and it was kind of just like everything we were looking at was over here and then it was just Oaxaca over here. But I think the more that we look at it, like that's really not that big a deal to me.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's a little bit further away, right? But it has all the things we're looking for. It also has huge art scene, tons of museums just in the centro. And we've talked about like also taking like workshops and like taking some art classes and stuff. So it'd be super ideal.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of like textile and pottery. Like those are two things that I'm very interested in. And there even is like a Spanish immersion school that combines like those classes with learning Spanish. And so something like that would be super fun for me. It just seems like that's somewhere where we could really like our creativity would flow.
And it's also smaller.
It's smaller.
300,000?
Yeah, which I feel like is a really good size because it's big enough that we don't feel like we're in the middle of nowhere like we feel we are now, but it's not so big that I feel like we could really get to know a lot of the local people, right? Like I feel like we could really easily build a community within Oaxaca City. And it might be harder in Querétaro or Puebla, where it's just a lot bigger and spread out.
And from what I've seen, there's also like an expat community there.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, like I really dig Oaxaca City. It really looks like somewhere that I'm gonna fall in love with. Like even just like all the different neighborhoods that we've seen, it's just so colorful and lively, and like I don't think I'll ever get bored walking down the street there.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much art on the walls with all the murals. And it just seems like a really vibrant city. And then they also have like a lot of festivities, right,
Hmm.
throughout the year, which would be, I didn't know, but apparently when they have weddings, you were showing me that they
Oh
do
yeah,
parades.
because I said that we could like have like a wedding there one day.
This seems like a good time.
Yeah, I mean the parades down the street. Also, I really would love to experience Day of Dead,
Mhm.
which I learned in the past few months that in Mexico they say Day of Dead, and like in the United States they say Day of the Dead.
Mhm.
That's the thing I learned.
Yeah, I feel bad because I just learned that and I'm Mexican.
Yeah, but you also like have lived in the U.S. most of your life.
I like said it the English way, the US way, and then my mom corrected me and I was like, oh.
It just feels lively and like so much culture, and it feels like it would be really easy to like become part of the community.
Yeah, and it's also it just seems very walkable too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
And-
from the different neighborhoods we've seen, it seems like everything to get to like Centro is like 20-30 minutes
yeah, and that's
walking.
yeah, and honestly, like when we were in Playa del Carmen and we had to walk 30 minutes to Centro, that's nothing to me. Like I don't mind walking, especially when there's a lot of things to look at.
And it's also affordable.
It's super affordable. I feel like we've seen everywhere from like 300 to 600. We could probably find something in that range to live. So it definitely is right up our alley. But the downsides.
Ooh, what are the downsides?
Well, Oaxaca has a water problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, and this is something that for me, like obviously it's a downside, it's an adjustment, and it's just something that you really have to get used to. Like you're gonna have like a day or two without water during the week, right? But I feel like if we know that ahead of time and we like plan accordingly, I feel like it's something that we could adjust to. Like obviously it's probably gonna be a pain in the ass. There's probably going to be times when we're like, what the hell, I want to take a shower. And we can't.
Yeah, I mean it'll just be an adjustment. It's one of those things that we'll have to take into consideration, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way that they navigate that as well.
Yeah.
So we'll learn.
Yeah. So that, and then I feel like, and I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel like we'll have to be very cognizant about what neighborhood we're living in because the internet is going to be spottier. And also, I think that there's like a little bit more petty crime in Oaxaca. And so, and that's the other thing that's also not a deal breaker for me. It's just a matter of I'm not going to be like walking alone down a dark street at night because the chance of like something happening is going to be higher. And I don't feel like that's going to be something we're doing anyway. I think we'll just have to be more aware. And if we're going to be out at dark, we'll probably be taking a taxi.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen is just people are just saying like, take your usual precautions, right? Be aware of your surroundings. The only thing that like kind of stood out to me in terms of that was one person that did say to just be extra mindful, especially during the festivities, just because there's a higher concentration of people for like pickpocketing. But other than that, it seems pretty safe.
Like none of these things are deal breakers to me. I can adjust to water. I can like adjust my schedule if we have spotty internet. And also, we can just like find a neighborhood that has like better internet connections. And that's just something that we'll have to pay attention to that maybe we wouldn't have to pay attention to in like Querétaro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's a smaller city.
Yeah, it is a smaller city, but also you get all those benefits of the smaller city, so it's kind of a trade-off, right? So
Yeah, I mean, who needs Wi-Fi all the time?
yeah, I mean, I keep saying that I want to work less, so ultimately, maybe it'll be good for me to have a couple days without internet. Oaxaca City is definitely our number one. I could even see myself at some point wanting to spend longer periods of time in like Puerto Escondido or adjacent coast.
You just want to go to a beach town, don't you?
I really like beach towns.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down for some beach experiences.
Mhm.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, but I feel all in all, just like Oaxaca, we can have that experience, right? We could make a whole trip out of it, just going through all the little mountain towns and then down to the coast.
hmm
So,
So yeah, it has all the things. It's
Mhm.
affordable, it's smaller in size,
mhm,
it's very rich in culture and art.
yeah,
And for me, what really like puts it up there is that immersion program that you've
yeah.
talked about, which seems like great.
So those are our top 3 places that we are definitely going to go visit. Check them out, see where we like the most. You know, these are our opinions when we have not been to any of these places. And so going there, maybe we'll have an entirely different experience.
Yeah, I mean, this is all just from what we've gathered from
Yeah.
watching YouTube videos, searching on the internet,
Yeah.
secondhand
Yeah.
accounts.
Just all of the information that we've been like consuming since we decided to move to Mexico like 4 months ago. You know, I feel like the best thing is going to be going to these places, and I feel like when we get there we're going to know which place is the place that we belong. Like I feel like it's just going to be obvious.
hmm
So stay tuned, follow us along on our journey, see where we end up. And if you have any opinions on any of these places or any other suggestions of places that we should look at based on our criteria, we definitely welcome all suggestions. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to just be traveling around Mexico, even when we find a long-term apartment.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to travel for the first year,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, there's just so much to see. Mexico is a huge country, and neither one of us have really seen that much of it. So I'm excited.
So tag along.
Yeah. Bye.